Well, maybe that wasn't him. So we'll call it 5:10 anyways. And so why don't we get started, and I'm gonna go ahead and seat Lori and Anthony as voting members. And we'll now take attendance. It's Jen Miller, got Lori Walker and Anthony, and Sheila Riffle on the line, and Amy Hosier on the line as well. So we'll do 5:10. And so we'll get started. So there's any agenda additions or changes that we have from anybody? Okay. All right, so we'll get started. Any members of the public on the line or in the room hiding somewhere? No, okay. So we'll get started with that. First thing we'll do is approve the minutes from the last meeting of May. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from May?
So moved.
Thank you, Anthony. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lori. Any changes or discussion about the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving the minutes from May, say aye.
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 Okay. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion passes. Okay. All right, well, let's move on. I'm gonna steal your music. That's okay. I got you. We always go in the same pattern, but has anybody had any correspondences or outside contact with anybody from anywhere about our commission?
No.
No? Okay. The only general correspondence we've had in our mailbox is basically that a couple of the abutters that were notified for the McCulloch property zoning variance, which was, for the frontage of the street that went to the ZBA, and that was the public hearing on May 17th. We had 2 letters returned, returned to sender. So they, I don't know if they're not here, whatever, we'll have to figure that out. But as of the record of deeds and everything, they were properly notified.
Yes.
But we got the letters returned to us. So Fred, I'll notify Fred of that, and he's really project managing that aspect of it. But that's been the only correspondence on that end. On the other end, we've been asked by Martha to actually take a vote on the 11 Avon property. And I'll just briefly summarize where we were with that. This was a tiny, tiny piece of land, less than 0.1 acre, I believe, that the town owns.
Near Rogers
Lake. Yeah, in Rogers Lake, 11 Avon. And the neighbor wants to buy the property from the town. And so before Martha says, yes, you can buy it, she wanted to know if anybody had any, like affordable housing or anybody had any use for it. We had already come to the conclusion back a couple months ago that it was too small, it was too tight. We had too much other things going on that were more worthwhile. And we said, we'll pass on that. So she took that, but now she wants kind of official on the record vote on that. So what I'd like to do is propose a motion that we go back to the Board of Selectmen and officially advise them that the Affordable Housing Commission is not going to do anything, or is not able to do anything at this time with the 11 Avon property. And they can go, it would be our recommendation that the Board of Selectmen go ahead and do what they want with it. What do you guys think?
So moved.
So moved.
That was a
All right,
good
second.
motion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And let's discuss, any discussion on that?
At 0.1 acre, it's not buildable, and I don't think it's of any use to affordable housing.
Mhm. Any
I
other
agree.
comments? Okay, I agree. That was Amy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just one question.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Sheila, your question.
Last meeting, we were talking about 2 small properties that if put together might, we might be able to do something. I'm assuming that's something different than this?
Yes, that's a different property, different properties, yeah. This is between 2 houses essentially.
Right, so there's Yeah, the only other comment I have is that at that size, it does not allow for a quality of life for a family to enjoy a single family home. And that would enhance the existing neighborhood.
Yeah. And we had also, I mean, I think this is back in March, that we had talked about, might just create animosity if, like, you know, with the neighbors, if we were to
Yes.
put up a teeny weeny home in that teeny weeny
Yep.
place, you know, in between two neighbors. So, yeah. I mean, not that that's the most of our concerns, but it is a concern, you know, that we don't want to, you know, go overboard. And we would not be able to develop that property for years. So it would sit vacant for years. And so the best use of, for the town, I think, would be to just take the money. And one of the suggestions was that we see if we could take that money that the town receives and allocate it to affordable housing, you know, endeavors. And so that's still something that we could also recommend to the Board of Selectmen.
I like that. That's really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really excellent.
Okay, so I think then the motion stands. So let's vote on the original motion as proposed, and then we can talk about the other thing. So all in favor of the motion as I as I cannot reply, reiterate, but say aye.
I,
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, so that motion passes, that we will recommend to the Board of Selectmen that we will
officially.
officially take ourselves out of the 11 Avon property. On a separate conversation we'll have with them, that we might recommend or suggest that it might be a good thing for those funds to be directed towards affordable housing, future projects, or our budget in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. All right. Okay, great. Just making notes because I saw
Yes.
last month our transcript did not get transcribed, so. So let's see, on the other general update, we had was we were going to make form a steering committee to kind of push forward the McCulloch properties. And that's one of the things that I want to, could be under any of these categories, project updates or general, but one of the things that we're getting into now with the McCulloch properties is really pushing forward on, you know, getting the subdivision. So as you know, probably I hope you know, the zoning board of appeals and the public hearing went well, and it was approved for the variance that we needed. So the next steps are to go to the planning and zoning per se. One of the things that will come up there is the driveway issue. For that, it's a 12-foot driveway right now, needs to be a 15, or some say 16-foot
Foot
driveway.
wide.
Yes, width. And then also, there is no agreement with Hope, who is currently deeded that driveway, that we can use that driveway to then extend that driveway up into the Habitat properties. So that needs to be resolved. That and many other issues. That's the number one issue though, right now, now that we've got the frontage variance approved. So what we'll need to do is, well, Fred and I think, and let's discuss, but what Fred and I think is that we need to have a sort of a standing, you know, couple of people with this committee, but also with like Eric, you know, Olson and Knapp and
Eric Knapp.
Eric Knapp and other people in the town, and the engineer and the developer, that Habitat in this case, to work with them to figure out exactly what the best case scenario is. So we were told, you know, third hand by other people, that doesn't necessarily need to be 21 feet wide, doesn't necessarily have to be 16, it could be 15, but it probably should not be 12. And so the culvert also is meant for just 2 homes with normal traffic, not with 4 homes and things like that. So it may need reinforcement. So there's a bit of engineering things that need to be considered in the design, and then the maintenance of the driveways. So, so far, what Eric's position is, informally, this is not like a standing informal position, this is just an informal, discussion, was that, well, Habitat and Hope should split the cost of it, of the maintenance going forward, and the town should just stay out of it. And gravel was certainly cheaper than asphalt and, and that kind of thing. So, so anyhow, the driveway issue is a certain thing that needs to be resolved, and agreed upon by the town, Hope, and Habitat. The complicating factor is that, as you know, Hope, is trying to give Habitat those properties, and so it could be, the burden could be all on Habitat, but that's for them to decide, not for us. So,
Has, because I know you were involved with Habitat, just a couple of questions. Have they offered some kind of informal opinion on this? Maybe they bumped into this situation
well-
before.
well, informally, both of them would like the town to maintain the driveway and.
Wow, that's-
and just,
Dude, I'm not on board for that.
Well, it's affordable housing, so.
Is the 12, is the, who dictates whether it's 16? Is that a?
There's a town ordinance, yeah, there's a town, not ordinance, not the right word, but there's a
Yeah,
town
Does the,
mandate.
does the width?
The fire department.
Yeah, fire
Fire department.
Yeah, I know
access.
it's about 2 houses, I know that,
Yeah.
but it doesn't, the width is not also dictated by it being a common access to more than one. structure.
No,
Okay,
it's
so
just, yeah,
that's it.
it's just access.
You can see the
Yeah, it's just access for
Being
the
around,
fire station, yeah.
ambulance.
Yeah, I mean, originally, this goes way back, that originally, open space, wanted like a little shoot off parking area, like go up the driveway, and then they wanted to.
Oh, right.
Like a diversion, so they could park there and people could access the trail from there. But that hasn't been discussed since a year more ago, remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's definitely kind of an issue that needs to be resolved, but the bigger issue is that we need somebody to focus on, that issue from our team. And then also, we need to put together who it is that we need to, coordinate with.
So why don't the owners, maintain the driveway?
Because they're on affordable housing.
Money.
So
No,
they're-
no, but
Yeah.
when you say affordable housing, it's gonna be middle class housing, right? It's gonna be what, 60 or 80%?
Yeah, you don't know. Hope started out, they were 30% when they started out, so.
Is that what they plan to do, is to rent it to a family that's 30% of Airbnb?
No, there's no plan. It's just under 80, so it's
It's under
80 or under, yeah, so.
What happens is
Yeah.
that, I don't know, I mean, what happened when you structure it, you might do it at 50 to 60. And don't forget, that's household income, if it gets to 70, you're getting the middle class housing. If you look at the Airbnb
Yeah.
income, it's a lot. And driveways, honestly, if you really talk to people who manage property or develop property, they're not expensive to maintain, particularly gravel.
Well, in,
Gravel is expensive.
yeah, it's a long driveway,
It's a long
Also.
driveway.
and it's downhill,
And it's not paved, is it?
and no, it's gravel.
It's all gravel.
But so the thing, right now is that Hope on the deed is responsible for maintaining the driveway. They have not been doing that. Which is
right,
apparent
right.
to the engineers. I'm not a driveway expert, but
Mhm.
that's what they tell me, is that
Yeah,
it's peaked
yeah.
and it's got ruts and that kind of thing. So somebody needs to kind of solve that issue.
Amy?
Go ahead, Amy, sorry.
No, I was just wondering what happened, will happen at that point.
Well-
And then you said you had to resolve it. I was just saying that in another way. Never mind.
No, that's okay. Yeah, so that's, I kind of think that what part of the remit is, and the next step is to figure out that driveway and culvert and responsibility. And Fred and I, or Fred or I, or are happy to kind of move that along, or to help somebody on this team move it along. But I don't think Fred nor I have the bandwidth to kind of like
How long is the?
charge forward on it. Huh?
Do you know what the offset is? How long is the driveway?
It's in the site plan, but I don't have it in front of me. It's over 100 yards, easily.
It's over 100 yards.
Yeah.
That's expensive.
Yeah. Easily over 100 yards. Yeah. Yeah. And the culvert is like I'm gonna say it's like maybe a 36-inch tube, but it's over 20 years old,
So they're gonna have to expand it, which means they'll probably have to,
yeah.
They can't hear you.
yeah, so they're gonna expand it to width. They have to put a new culvert in. And then that's a whole
Yeah.
100 yards is a lot of whatever
Right.
material you have to put in. there.
Potholes, the
Yeah,
whole.
Fred, I mean, I know
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
he get down that in, he knows what
Yeah.
it's expensive. Now I see.
Yeah, well, we were trying to get estimates on the construction or reconstruction and construction of it, but we just haven't been able to get enough detail in time because we know we're just dividing up the lots. They don't exactly know where the houses are going, that kind of thing. So the site plan is so draft right now that it's difficult to say where the current driveway will split off to the new two houses.
Let me ask,
Or if we can even use them.
Yeah. you know, this is exploratory, I'm not, I
Yeah.
know.
All for discussion, yeah.
But, we receive, and I've been tracking that, affordable housing bill, House Bill 5002, which is now public act.
Yeah, we'll get onto that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I'm not gonna get into
Mhm.
that, but there's monies in there, and there's a lot, I'm wondering if we can go to like the Department of Housing in order to make these two houses viable for affordable housing in our town and get a relatively small grant of $25,000-$30,000 to pave it, done.
Well,
Then no one has to maintain
well, that's
it.
what we were trying
Yeah.
to, that's what we were trying to get with the small cities grant.
Yeah,
but
but
that-
there's no money flowing down out of this bill.
Well, so not out of that bill, but out of the small cities grant, what we were trying to
Yeah.
do was to get the 100,000 for that and the McKimmick, the Kimmick property. But that is, because we don't have any detailed plans, like we don't have an engineering site that says this is gonna be this, and we don't have a cost plan for it. We just threw out a number, 100,000. And what they want to see is like the detail, like
I know.
X amount of gravel, X amount of paving, X amount of this, barriers.
To get an interest-
Yeah,
interest
so-
solution.
So we could still apply. There's a number of grants we could still apply for. And whatever comes out of 5002, we don't know, but
Housing
Still
also
do.
offers either housing or CHFA, I can never, the pre-development seed money. So if you need to do an engineering plan, they might be willing to give you $15,000-$20,000 for pre-development costs, which have nothing to do with actual, it's the step, because a lot of
yeah,
people, at least in my business, they're smaller and they don't have the pre-development money. And that's what stops them from developing. So I know that you talked to Mike Santoro.
Yeah.
He's mentioned a number of times. Maybe it qualifies, maybe it doesn't. But,
exactly.
Pre-development money, and
Yeah.
at least we get an engineering solution to it and a good cost estimate.
Yeah,
And that goes a long way. And the
Yeah.
state might give us the money to do
yeah,
that.
because even just, I think the engineering estimate for both of those would probably eat up half of our budget for the next year, so.
Right.
I'm trying to only get the mic over to Anthony.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we-
So we're back
Yeah.
to the steering committee,
Yeah.
like trying to figure out
Yeah.
who could serve on a steering
Yeah,
committee,
so-
and that would include Eric Knapp. Just
I
Right.
think he would at least need to be either an ad hoc member or consultant to,
Yes.
the group. And then we've been working really well with Tom Metcalf and Dick Gates. And the two of them have been just great as far as McCulloch, and they're also going to be doing the Kimmick property
great.
as far as testing, soil testing. The health district has been great. They've been phenomenal.
Meaning Ledge Light?
Ledge Light,
Okay.
at LAHD.
Mhm.
So they've been great. So all of that has been coming through very well. So anyhow, what we're looking for is just putting together a small group of people that can, can only be two from our board.
Okay,
But at most two.
Right.
And then, just kind of tackle that issue. And then there will be probably another issue after that, that comes
Yeah.
up, but this is kind of the immediate issue, to get that solved and make sure that we get through planning and zoning, with that information. And then once the deeds are transferred, working with Habitat, a representative from Habitat to, then progress the project of McCulloch, and not make sure that they do it, but that make sure they get what they need from Old Lyme to progress the project. So I don't think we want to be sitting on those properties for 5 years while they continue all their projects in Norwich. So we do want to, have constant communications with Habitat once it's deeded over to them, that, we can make sure we know, we can tell the citizens of Old Lyme, no, you can expect this, that, or the other to happen. But once we hand it over to them, it's all in their control. And based on our memorandum of understanding that was signed a couple months ago, it is under their control essentially right now. So we're just doing sort of the permitting process for them right now. So anyhow, given that, I know we don't have a full quorum, but why don't we think about like who might want to volunteer for that?
I'm an
Well,
alternate, so I would not be comfortable. I think I should be a full member.
Lori, come on. But let's think about that, and if anybody wants to do that, just either give Fred or I or both of us a email or text or call, and we can figure that out. And I'll make sure it gets out to Jim
Mhm.
and I think Jim.
And Sean.
And Sean, that's right, Jim and Sean. Yeah, and make sure that they're aware of that as well. So let's tackle that maybe at our, well, we might have to just do that over
Yeah.
email in the interim, because
It's
I'm
no
gonna
July
wait till
meeting.
August, yeah. Okay. All right, any other further questions on, what the role might be as far as the steering committee goes?
No, I do think you probably would, before it gets formal, reduce it to writing, short.
Absolutely,
Yeah, just so you have guidance, so people know what they're going to do
yeah.
in this ad hoc capacity.
Yeah, and Sarah Luffler, who's the executive director of Habitat, ECT, she also has some thoughts on it, because she doesn't want us, of course, finagling in her stuff, but she did say like, what exactly will you be doing? So we don't want to interfere with, it's theirs. Once it's theirs, but
Right.
we don't want to, like, how can we help? How much money do you think you need? Like, what's the project, what's the site plan look like, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
we want to be able to communicate to Old Lyme all this
I
information.
will say that, Roy's comment about being alternates, I would agree with, because you might work on this and then not be able to sit in a position of influence or to vote
Mhm.
on it. So, I mean, I think it's the first alternative, maybe someone who's a full standing member could do it, and then if you have to go
Mhm.
and select an alternate.
An alternate,
approach.
that's true.
I do 2 steps and see,
Mhm.
and, because you have to fill the
Okay.
position.
Yeah, understand.
And then that way there, someone would have an opportunity as a full-time member
Okay.
to get involved. That's my
No,
own
it's a good
caveat.
point. I
Okay.
totally understand. Yep. Okay. Good. And Amy or Sheila, any further comments on this issue?
Nope.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. No, you're okay. Yeah, I've already got it memorized. So the other topic, real quick, is on, let's see, we did the driveways.
Funding.
Yeah, I was just running down some notes that Fred gave.
Project update, anything on,
220.
over there by the firehouse? Across from.
Kimmick.
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 Any update on Kimmick?
Yeah, no, so they're gonna move, Dick Metcalf and Tom, so I got that wrong. Tom Metcalf and Dick Gates are gonna move over now, from McCulloch over to, Kimmick and do the same soil testing, perk testing, map out the sites, do a couple of site plans for us as far as potential access ways. As you remember, hopefully that there used to be a house on one of those lots. And
Yes,
so there's already some remnants of a septic, et cetera.
and well,
Yeah. And so, so that should be slightly easier, although it's, it's already grown, overgrown with trees and everything now. But the other, same thing, we'll need to do the access way, probably some kind of variance, for something I'm sure will come up, and, a lot split and that kind of thing. So, so that they're gonna move over to that. That's a separate RFP. So we'll be going to a different bucket of money for that, but we do have the funds right now for that. So, we anticipate we do anyways. So that should be all taken care of. Don't have any concerns with that. Amy?
No, that's great. Good.
Okay. Good. And then, I think that was all on those two things. So, the other topic as far as, funding opportunities, we had to cancel the, public hearing on Monday for the grant, for the Small Cities Community Grant, for two reasons. One is we don't have any site plans, or we have a site plan in general, but we don't have a specific plan that is good enough for what Dominic or what the Department of Housing is looking for, in their design. They want cost estimates with a specific plan, that says, here's where it is and how, that's why you need it. And then the second thing is, totally on me, we needed to publish 3 days in advance, in addition to the 14 days in advance. A notice in the paper, which is unique for housing or this particular housing grant. So, and I didn't do that. So, he said that wouldn't have mattered too much. It just would have been a little ding, but without the site plans for the driveway, that's like, nothing we could have,
Yeah, well, I mean,
Gone.
we should follow the rules like any citizen in town has to follow the rules, So
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
just a little delay and.
Yeah. Well, so, you get points for all these things. So did you have this point? Did you get that point? So it's just a matter of points, but we're not ready for it in the end, anyways. So I think with this project team being set up, and now that we have the zoning variance and we got through that public hearing, and that's all looking very positive, and there's no reason that we should have any objections, going forward. All the abutters have been notified, everything's fine, and then Habitat signed the memorandum of understanding, and so that's all good. So everything's on board with the McCulloch project. There's no issues whatsoever, except this, right now, the next step, basically. It's not an issue, it's just the next step. That's the driveway. If we can get a variance from 15 feet to 12 feet, or, we don't think that, but 16 feet to 15 feet or something like that. We just have to map it out, and Tom and Dick will, kind of figure out what the width is for that. And Eric didn't think that it would be a problem. Nothing formal, this is just talk, but, to go from 12 feet to 15 rather than 16 feet. And I don't know why that 1 foot makes a difference, honestly, because I haven't been,
as a realtor, it used to be
Painted it out,
15
but-
feet. You had to
Yeah.
have 15 feet width.
yeah,
The 16 is new to me.
yeah. It might be because it's 4 houses,
Mhm.
Yeah.
a bit more like
That
a
could be.
road instead of,
2 you mean,
huh?
4 houses.
Well, there's 2 Hope and then there's 2 Habitats, so, yeah, there's 4 houses off of that
That
road.
could be.
Like, what I'm calling a road is a driveway to
Oh,
that,
that's right, 'cause you got.
but it's, yeah, it's a very, very long driveway.
Well, just
So-
curious, how do, I always look at Affordable Housing Commission not being the experts, we're the facilitators. And we have experts, Hope and Habitat for Humanity and people sitting.
Eric.
How do you get this far into the project and find out about this common access in the driveway being a potential issue?
Well, because we always thought the town was gonna take it over and maintain it, but there's no resolution that the town is gonna do that.
Okay.
So, so when
Okay.
Michael and I first started, the sort of, what do you call it, the bottom line was, they're not gonna, they're gonna variance the road frontage, and then they're going to, take over the maintenance of what we're calling the driveway. But that has not ever been agreed. So that's another avenue. We can still petition the town to do that
Well, it's.
and call it a
Yeah,
road.
it's very common in my world that when you develop reduced housing or affordable housing, you call it now, that you can only make that work if you have parties contributing to it, including towns.
Oh, sure.
And it's very common to have it in all contracts. I have a
Yeah.
bunch of them all over the state of having services that are provided by the community to the development, particularly if it's gonna stay in perpetuity. And that would be something common,
Yeah,
because this would
that's
be for
fine.
this kind of housing. So
Yeah.
it certainly is not an orphaned project. It's very common.
Yeah.
So we have contracts, the city has a lot of things for public housing throughout the
Yeah.
state. It
Oh,
varies.
one example I give you is Old Shore Road, and Old Shore Road is maintained by the town, and there's only one house on it. And so then that's a gravel driveway, and they have to come plow that driveway every year and fill it in, and and it's half, like a quarter of the length of this road or driveway.
Mhm.
So there is an opportunity for, us to still have that as an option. That's still an option.
I'm just asking.
Nobody's ruled it out.
Right. I'm more comfortable looking at it that way
Yeah.
because, the community has skin in the game and they're going to,
Yeah, that's the way
maintain-
we originally
and,
envisioned it.
and the struct improvements on the property gonna pay taxes.
Yeah. Yeah, first thing we
Right.
need to figure out
Property
the,
taxes.
the engineering of the driveway.
Right.
Then we need to go to the town and say, here's the
Yeah,
proposal.
we can put up,
Here's how much it's gonna cost.
yeah,
And Hope and Habitat cannot support it. So there you go.
no, I get it.
In my mind, that's the path.
I think I like that process. We do some like pre-development work and then we ask them
Yeah.
to provide some services.
Hmm.
And plowing, I don't know, but maintenance, I would.
Yeah.
Because that's the more expensive side. People can get a plow to get up and down there. But if you can get the city to do both, that's great.
Yeah.
At least maintain
Yeah,
it.
there's already examples of where you
Yeah,
do it in
exactly.
town, so that shouldn't be too much of a hassle.
Yeah.
It's just that it's twice as long, 3 times as long. But anyhow, okay, so, anything else on McCullough or Kemet or? No, okay, all right, so I think that, the only other thing then, as far as, old business would be well, it's new/old is still the fair share, and the bill 5002 that passed the Senate and the House the other day, and did Lamont sign it?
Yes, he did.
He did,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So, yeah, so now he signed it, so, what we're planning on doing is, getting together with, various other commissions, planning and zoning and planning and zoning. Like the selectmen, of course, and things like that, and putting our heads together to figure out, what the impact could be to Old Lyme. So I'm just looking at our fair share here. It'd be 388 to 452 affordable units. Those are affordable units. Those are not total units. Those are affordable units. So,
Yeah.
if that comes to be, which people are still debating whether or not that actually will ever happen. So in order to do that, of course, if 300 is 30% of what, so we would have to build a gazillion units to kind of, a developer would have to come in and do that. So that's still to be. I know that there's a lot of chatter going on between different boards and commissions and the selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen to put something together on the agenda to, get the heads of those groups together and see what the impact is, do an impact assessment, and then figure out, what approaches we might take. And of course, working with RiverCog and the Council of Small Towns and, figuring out what their approach would be. And the feeling is, that from RiverCog, at least on the, housing side of RiverCog, I'm not on RiverCog, just the housing part. But on that side is that, they might want to just put together a consolidated approach, that all of the small towns within RiverCog, which make up the shoreline, basically, we all have the same issues except for maybe those that have transportation hubs. Then we would put forth a counter proposal, if you will, to what the Ride Free Share Act, is. So,
Yeah, I can't comment on this bill. I've tracked this bill. First of all, this surprise was a surprise to everyone. This omnibus bill had been discussed that Rojas from East Hartford would push it, and he's had trouble doing this over the last couple of sessions. It literally showed up with really no hearings.
Wow.
on Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day
Yeah, on
weekend.
Memorial Day weekend.
People, influencers, like with his fair share.
Yeah.
No one wants to admit where it came from. It's a very imperfect product. No one knows what the algorithm is, how you come up with that many units in a town like Old Lyme.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you cannot run housing programs, which are generally private sector,
Yeah.
from the top down. So
Yeah.
everybody's upset about this.
Yeah.
I would probably anticipate that they're gonna formalize this in that will be maybe guidelines, but no one's gonna be able to come close to that. They just somehow divided it up.
Yeah,
And it's
it was based on actually
Yeah.
the affluence of the town,
right. It has nothing to do
divided
with
by the
development.
number of properties that
Right.
Connecticut as a state needed.
Correct. Which has nothing to do with
Times some
development.
kind of thing about the percentage that we already have. And so
Correct.
because we're an affluent town and we have low affordable housing units on the books, then we get a larger fair share. So
Yeah, I know, but that's nonsense. I mean, people, it just shows you how imperfect the bill is in so
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
points. And this is one, the conference, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities will probably be taking the lead
Yeah.
on this.
Well, that's why he never got out of committee for the last 2 years, and now it's all of a sudden law, so.
Yeah, it was that, I will tell you something else. There were provisions that affected public housing drastically. And so I made the point before it got the final vote, in the Senate. And miraculously, and I mean miraculously, someone, we don't know who it was, offered an amendment and stripped out these provisions that were very noxious to our public housing community on governance. It just disappeared. Member showed up, gone. And we said, who did that?
Yeah.
Our lobbyist in Hartford
Yeah,
doesn't know how that happened.
that was
So-
Monday afternoon, Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I
at
mean,
2 o'clock Monday afternoon.
I
think
don't
it
know why
was.
I don't know why we put up this hanky panky.
Yeah.
It's no way to run a state of this size and sophistication.
It is not for us to
No.
know.
Well, for me to comment on.
It was
I'm
for
a
you to
old
comment, that's
state.
fine.
But it puts
It's
positions
fine.
like us and community in a
Yeah.
tough spot.
Yeah, and everybody, the Board of Selectmen is very sensitive
Yeah.
to that. They understand zoning and Paul, everybody is in the same, kind of place, yeah. And RiverCog, or at least the affordable housing part of RiverCog, I don't know about the rest of them, but, so everybody's in the same
Right.
place, so. And not just Old Lyme, other,
Yeah, the whole city.
towns.
That's why you use a lot of people.
Yeah.
And the Fair Housing Commission is another element
Yeah.
that's controversial.
So anyhow, so we
Yeah.
won't comment any more on that because there's nothing we can do about it right now. But just if you want to read up on it, there's so many things out there that you can read on. And I would urge everybody to read both you know, the one side and the other side, you know, so we can mush them together, you know, kind of thing, because desegregate CT, you know, has been pushing the live free or die or ride, sorry, live free or ride.
Yeah. Well, it-
And then CT 169 strong has been
right.
advocating for, you know, every local zoning
And these
provisions.
groups have no expertise in housing,
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, the experts in housing, the multifamily developers and public houses who do this for a living, were not, at least our industry, was not contacted at all.
Right,
We were just shut out.
really.
And even though we met with Rojas and had relationships and communications with him and his
Yeah.
staff, we were
No,
just,
I believe
it was
it.
all a backdoor deal.
No, the advocate group certainly won the day on this one.
Well, let them fund it
Versus the
and let them build it.
politicians, yeah.
That's what I say.
All right, well, let's move on, because there's nothing we can do there. So is there any other, new business that has come to your attention?
I just want to make one comment.
Sure.
Which, the other issue with this bill is the fair rent commissions. And
Oh.
what happened is that the law changed. If your community was less than 25,000 people, you didn't have to have a rent commission, a rent control commission. They lowered it to 15. Then someone said, oh, if you're under 15, you can be put into a regional pool.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, and if you read the laws on the books, that they have unbelievable powers to control rents. I mean, it's amazing. So all of a sudden, the old line is in this consortium, and I don't know how that's all gonna happen. And people don't live in Lyme, Old Lyme, Essex, or wherever, are gonna be
Yeah.
weighing in on rents.
Yeah, it's probably River Cog is probably how they're gonna split it up.
Right, so,
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to develop if you've got this group, these out of towners controlling what you can get for rent in this community you want to develop it, or even the threat of it, or you can lodge complaints to them
Yeah.
and you're investigated.
Yeah.
So-
And parking spaces.
Well, that's not parking spaces, that's oh, yeah, I know that was that.
Hey, you regulate parking spaces.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
But
okay,
it-
enough about
Anyway, so you
five
guys.
thousand two.
Anyway, that's my last comment.
Done with
Fair
that.
rent commission.
Yeah. So anyhow, bottom line, we'll be exploring other funding opportunities. We're gonna wait for the Board of Selectmen. Anthony's having a fit over here. For the Board of Selectmen to come back to us with what they need from us as far as participation in any kind of collaboration with the other boards. And whatever opportunities, you know, we might find there.
Good.
And yeah, so Sheila or Amy, any questions or comments?
No, that's good that they're meeting on that.
Okay,
It seems like we're on our own sometimes. So
Yeah.
never mind.
yeah, and you're not, because River Cog is of the same mindset. Everything that we have done and are thinking, I find the same thing with River Cog, and so that's 16 other towns. So
Yeah.
that's, you know, so all those towns are thinking the same thing that we're thinking, apparently.
Yeah.
So we're not alone, you know, in that. There could be some one-offs, but as a general speaking, you know.
Yeah.
And the Council of Small Towns across the state of Connecticut is also speaking the same language.
Mhm.
So, may just be the 4 large towns that are dictating everything. I don't know. But anyhow, let's move on. Any other new business?
Not for me. I'm just, I'm anxious to help out in whatever way that I can, not in the in-between, so.
I
I
think
think you
that-
and I were going to try to connect.
I think I hear a volunteer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
I thought-
I'm sorry?
I think I hear a
You think you're a
volunteer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know about the steering committee, but, yeah, is there, I guess, a question that I have is do we have a group, contact sheet or something that we can exchange numbers?
Yeah,
in case-
so that should be, I should have sent that out. I thought I sent that out to everybody. I'll send it out again, but yeah.
and it's confidential.
Okay, if you sent it out, I'll find it. I'll find it.
Yeah. It was early days, like when you and Sean joined, I updated it and then sent it out. But I'll make sure that you get another copy of it, just.
There might be something that appears on the town website too, that I always look at.
Yeah, it may not be updated.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that's a good point. So, yeah, I was
Yeah,
browsing on
if
there
you
the other
sent it,
day.
don't. If you sent it, Jen, don't go through the trouble of resending.
Okay.
If you sent it, I'll find it.
Oh, it'll
Thank
take
you.
me 2 seconds. to do
Yeah,
it, no problem.
Easy to resend.
Yeah. Okay, and yeah, and so the website, there are a few things on that website, by the way, that just need to be updated a little bit, so I'll get Tom to help me with that.
Tom, who?
The IT guy, Meyer,
Okay.
yeah. Tom Meyer,
Mhm.
he's been good. I just got access to the mailbox last week, and so there's a lot of stuff in there pertaining to so the Summerfest or Midsummer
Midsummer
Festival.
Festival,
Midsummer Festival,
which is July
yeah,
26th,
Yeah.
Saturday, July 26th.
yeah. So if you recall, Michael had asked us to consider if we wanted to have anything at the table. There's going to be a nonprofit table.
Yes,
And so Sarah is gonna, the director of Habitat for Humanity Eastern Connecticut, she was probably gonna just have some brochures. She didn't think that she could have a person standing there all day, but she thought she could just have some Habitat brochures or, informational pamphlets. So I haven't talked to Carla at Hope yet, but they wouldn't really be promoting anything really for Hope because they're doing the rental thing. But so if anybody has any ideas or wants to stand by the table in a hot July sun.
there's so many community groups involved that day. It's really hard.
Yeah,
They're all
yeah.
Stretched thin.
Yeah, so that's one opportunity. The other one, just keep in mind, is an ongoing one, which I don't think the next deadline's until July sometime, is the magazine that comes out quarterly. So that's basically like that Our Town magazine. And it showcases, highlights things from Old Lyme, and it's like 150 or 300 word article we could put in there about like what we do or what we've done or what we might want to do or what we're doing, that kind of thing.
That's a good
So,
idea.
That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
so if we want to be part of that one, the deadlines are a good 2 months ahead of publication date. But I have the publication dates. I'll send those out to everybody.
Yeah,
And,
that'd be good. Give us
see
a
if-
little publicity.
Yeah.
Free.
yeah.
Did we ever, I don't think it happened, but did it ever come to fruition? We were gonna do like a 1 or 2 page graphic, kind of a
Mm.
marketing piece, kind of
Mhm.
explaining to people terms. And I think it got
Yep.
caught up in some people leaving the commission, but I don't know if they ever did anything.
Yeah, no, it
It's
wasn't.
gonna be a direct mail.
Yeah, I think it was the consultant from Rivercog that left. So we had a communications consultant that helped us with the 5-year plan.
Right.
And she had some ideas, I believe that we can condense it down into like a primer.
Yeah,
you know.
and what was the principal that was really nice guy? I think it was a principal.
Bill Belusi.
Bill, I think.
He had some ideas.
Bill had some ideas,
Yeah.
and I think he was, and then
Yeah.
he left, he
But he's
left.
teaching Spanish full time now.
Yeah.
at Grayson High
Is he
School.
really?
Yes, he is. But yeah, I'll make a note of that and I can see if I can follow up on that in conjunction with this aspect of communications, with the
Yes.
magazine and the Midsummer Fest and all that. So let's make a note of that and see what we can do there. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't heard from Bill since he left us.
Yeah, I hope he's well.
He's fine. I
Yeah,
see
he's
him
fine,
He's
yeah.
such a nice.
walking Lime Street, having a ball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's a nice person.
okay, all right, we'll check on comms on that. So communications, yeah, is still gonna be an
Communications.
ongoing aspect. Yeah, there's there's an aspect of this that, you know, we had thought we could get ahead of, you know, the community in doing so. And you see how kind of that Halls Road thing blew up, you know, and everybody was saying affordable housing. I was like, what? There's nobody said anything about affordable housing there. So, you know, and then how it was misinterpreted as like basically Section 8 housing in my mind. You know, so there's extremes how people think about affordable housing. You know, they either think about it as this way or, you know, the way we think
It's
about it
narrow.
as workforce housing and starter homes and, you know, things like that. And I think starter homes and workforce housing are more applicable to our community. And, you know, we do have, like, unbeknownst to people, we do have Section 8 housing here because there are vouchers and they use the vouchers during the winter to stay at motels that are not occupied here and stuff like that. So we do have the Section 8 housing via vouchers, but we don't have projects, you know, so.
And we thought it would be good to do communications and reach out to people, like if you have a house that you wanted to donate or things like
Mhm.
that, land that you wanted to
Trust, yeah.
donate. So
We,
it
yeah,
would be good to try to do more.
right, we talked about.
Community outreach.
Units, you know,
ADUs, yeah.
yeah, ADU.
Well, yeah, so and all that'll
ADUs
get
are-
wrapped
yeah.
up kind of in the zoning, re-regs, what do you call it? Redoing of the zoning laws, so.
Yeah, they have to revise it.
Yeah, so, and we'll be a part of that too. So once that project gets going with the zoning and planning boards, you know, they'll be asking for our input on those things as well. So that would be something that we need to stay on top of the regs for and, you know, have our input ready for them on that kind of stuff. I know Michael is part of the zoning board now, which is awesome. You know, but I don't want him to have to carry both, you know, burdens of zoning and affordable housing regulations throughout the state so that he can comment on that, but which he'd probably be happy to do, but you know, we should, you know, make an effort to provide them the information that they need, you know, kind of thing. But when they ask us, I'm not sure when that's kicking off. But I know that they got the funding for it when the budget passed the other day, so that should be pretty soon. All right, so it brings us to the end of new business. Any other agenda items that are on anybody's mind that we think we should cover besides these next things? This communication stuff for Midsummer Fest, we should probably do kind of in the interim between now and the end of the month, really, because of Midsummer Fest timing. So we could do that offline. So anybody that has any ideas other than habitat and maybe a condensation, Anthony, of the, you know, a primer basically on what is affordable housing in Old Lyme, you know, kind of thing. We could do like a one-sheeter on that or
Yes,
something.
a one-sheeter.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I think that's what.
Could we, or have, never mind.
go ahead, Amy. You broke up a little bit.
Yeah, have we done anything on ADUs since they seem to be probably one of the most salient options for Old Lyme? Like,
We Old Lyme, affordable housing have not, because that's under the purview of zoning. And so,
Right.
but zoning is trying to, that will be on their agenda on the revamping of the zoning regulations from A to Z. So they will be doing that.
okay, and when are they doing that again?
Well, it just got approved in the budget, so that will be July 1st start, so they could hire a consultant, which I believe they already have in mind. So hopefully soon, but I don't know the ins and outs of that.
Okay.
Okay, so any other ideas for the Midsummer Fest table, just let me know, and by probably I'd say the end of next week to make it, you know, feasible for us to get something out. And we can put something together for that.
Is there like a little trifold? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah,
What-
yeah. I was
affordable
thinking,
housing.
and we could do maybe the same thing that would go into the magazine.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, it's kind of the
Next
same
quarter
message.
magazine.
Keep it
Yeah,
simple.
same message, yeah,
Mhm, some messaging.
yeah. Yeah, and I'll go back and look at what Bill had.
Yes.
You
Together.
might have put something together, say.
Well, it was kind of like bullet points. I
Bullet
think, but
points.
Yeah,
What we're looking
Yeah,
for.
we did do something, and I lined up someone who was going to donate services to
Mhm.
refine it and then handle the mailing,
Yeah,
but it just stopped.
yeah,
It stopped.
yeah. I think, everything was about timing and stuff back then,
Yes.
you know, and everything and.
A lot of things.
Postage money, there was a lot.
How many years was it? Okay.
Timing in this little town, what? Yeah, all right, so as we know, we canceled our meeting for July. However, if there's enough pressing need in the interim, that we see that we might need a special meeting, it won't be July 2nd, but it could be, you know, maybe the subsequent week or week after. If there's a need for it. And depending on how things move, I don't think anything's gonna happen with 5002 and the town, you know, during that time, because it's the holiday and summer season and everybody's gone on vacation and stuff like that. So I don't anticipate it'll be before at least early August before that happens. So the only thing we're concerned about right now is getting that driveway sorted out and then the marketing materials for Midsummer Fest. Do you think anything else that you thought of?
Just your ad hoc committee you said you would put together.
Yeah, the ad hoc committee for the driveway,
Right.
basically, yeah. Well, I think that committee, that would be the first project or first step of that committee. So I'd like that committee to stay together, you know, for the duration. So that would be, you know, good. So to have continuity with, you know, both the nonprofits and the engineers and the town.
For that.
And the town people for the McCullough property, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, specifically only for the McCullough property, yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that copy.
Yeah. Yeah, and the financing. And so we got in the budget. I just haven't got clarity on what we got out of the budget.
Okay.
So we put in 15. I believe we ended up with 13. But we have a little bit of money we can roll over and all of our bills are in for, as far as I know, for this year, or this fiscal year. So they have to be in by, next week, the 15th. And right now, everything's cleared out of our queue. So, I'm gonna make a last call for the bills to, you know, from the attorney. The only ones we
Alright.
have is the attorney, Sussman and Shapiro, and the engineer, and, Dick. So hopefully there's no other bills that we have coming in on that. But we're in good shape with that. We have a little bit of money to roll over. Because we definitely didn't use all of that. All right, final thoughts, anybody?
So my calendar says our next
Yep.
meeting's Wednesday, August 6th.
August 6th, next meeting? That's good for
Are you
everybody?
here? Are you?
I'm
Good.
here, yes, surprisingly. No, I am here.
Yep.
I'm here till September, you missy.
Okay. Well, it's nice. I like meeting in person. I hear better.
Yeah. Well, even so, hold on now, that brings us to Labor Day because September 3rd is the
I
following
know.
week, and it's Labor
I
Day.
looked at the calendar and I just thought the same thing. Monday, the 1st is Labor Day, and then we meet 2 days later, which is always a busy week.
Yeah.
That's what.
Would we like to talk about, what are you guys' thoughts on September 3rd, which is 2 days after Labor Day, or moving that to the 10th? And we definitely have to have a meeting in
Yes.
September, yeah.
I think it'd be better attended on September 10th.
You
What do you
you
think?
can go
I
to the 10th?
I would not,
Say again, Sheila?
go ahead, Amy. Oh,
No, I was
I
just
would not be
asking.
able to attend.
Sheila
go
and
ahead,
me are
Amy, go
battling. I'm gonna go Sheila first, go ahead.
Okay, I would not be able to, oh, wait, yes, I would, never mind. I have another meeting that night, but it's later, so. All set.
What do you prefer, Amy?
I prefer earlier, was it the 3rd or the 4th?
Yeah,
you were
the
saying?
3rd. Hey, I've got it in pen on my calendar, so if we just want to be consistent.
Do you want to play it by ear and then we'll decide in August?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe when we have more people in
Mhm.
attendance.
Get Fred back,
Or you
that's
might
true.
get-
Yeah.
It might develop, you know, I
Okay.
should be okay too, but.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll hold off on that then. So
Okay.
we'll wait and decide on September later.
But we
So
just-
August 6th it is. So that'll be our next meeting, August 6th, unless Fred and I need to call a special meeting sometime in July. Okay? All right, good.
Sounds
Sounds
good.
great.
Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Anthony? Was that Sheila,
Second.
second?
Yep.
Okay, the time is 6:08.